So just to give you a background, we had a few sessions on competitive speaking. So this is one of the final sessions, I'd say second last. Final one is how to choose a title. But we are preparing our competition speech reverse order. So that means I'll just also spotlight myself. Yeah. So we started off with ideation. We created an idea of how to prepare our competition speech. Then we went into writing the conclusion. That's the first thing that we did. It was, what is our message? We then moved on to filling in the body. It's like a competition speech is like pieces of a puzzle. You got a Lego. You don't start from one end and go linear. You just put everything on the floor and then look at the picture, look at the puzzle, match it, and then put where it fits. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle. And today we are focusing. So the third session was around stories, how we put in a story, and we also highlighted that all the previous champions just had one story for 7 minutes. Now, just to give you a background, believe it or not, a Toastmaster competition speech is much harder than a professional speech or a keynote speech because you need to compress the entire content into just 7 minutes. You just have 7 minutes to to put in your message. And we train it so that when we go out into the real world, because we are training so hard, our real world appears easy. It's not easy, but appears easy. And today we are focusing on opening. How do we start our presentation? Now, the classical approach, which we have learned from school, is we start off with thank you, Toastmaster, thank you. And sometimes we come to say, we start apologizing, right? This is a big no in Toastmasters. In fact, anywhere that you go, we we should start strong. I'm going to share screen so then you can follow it through. And at the end of the session, I will also send through my notes. So don't write notes. If you write notes, good. But at the same time, just be in the moment and see what's happening, what comes out of it. Now I'm sharing screen. Now, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So why is opening important? So we'll cover why you should never open with a thank you. But before that, why are openings important? Now, if you remember looking for something and you go into YouTube or go into LinkedIn, you keep scrolling and you go into YouTube and search for like how to bake a cake, for example. And when you put something, then you see all the videos popping up. You go and click on, and you obviously YouTube mentions the thumbnail. You go and click something and you watch and you see that the speaker is waffling around until now, this is not for me. You move to the next and next, and eventually you land on a video where they start with a cake and it looks delicious and then they start the message through. So opening, and meanwhile, the first speaker whom you just ignored and moved to the third video had put in so much energy. He had his message at the end, and he was a chef of a five-star restaurant, and he was conveying it. But we as the audience did not connect. Now, your opening is as important as capturing the audience's attention and keeping it long. That means if we tell thank you, if we tell apology first time and all, we are losing vital time. Now, why? I have some facts for you. People are asking me there are no facts in your speech, it's all emotion. Now, if you have heard Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a social media personality. He uses a 3 second rule. You have exactly 3 seconds to capture your audience's attention. And this has been backed up with Meta or Facebook's company and Google. in their challenge is that 65% of the people watch the first 3 seconds of a video, and otherwise they will scroll. And if they keep watching it, then they will watch the next 10 seconds. Now, if you see, the currency of social media is attention. The same thing with our speeches as well. Now, of course, it is not 3 seconds in our speeches. We have people in a room. But if you think of your meetings, how often when a presentation starts, people's eyes go down and into their laptops or into their phones scrolling. That means we as a speaker are not grabbing the audience's attention. Now, how can we put that interest out from the laptop into the back to the speaker? We just have a few seconds to start strong. And that is the power of opening. Your speech might be the most beautiful speech. If your opening is weak, the entire speech collapses. We come to the next point. Why you should never open your speech with a thank you. Remember, thank you, Toastmasters, friends. Today I'm going to tell you about my speech, this is my project, or this is how I wrote. That is, so you saw, we just wasted those 3 seconds. Just remember last time you watched a crime movie like CSI, or you watched your best movie. There's a opening, something's happening, something's motion. There's a component of time, and then you are seeped in, and then the opening scroll comes in. Think of James Bond movies. You see some action happening, like James Bond hitting, doing something, some super spy stuff. He then does some action and then moves on, fires a bullet, and then escapes in a train or something. So that is the opening we will focus on today. And and moving on, you can actually use those openings in your personal life, in every single speech. Then you'll ask me, where should I put the thank you? I should be grateful to the people who has introduced me, right? I should acknowledge the audience. Where should I tell the thank you? Now, going back to the YouTube, you have seen a pattern. When we open a speech, you'll see that they introduce it, and then in middle, suddenly they will tell, "Hi, I'm Anshuman. This is my YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe." And then they go on. They put that message right after the opening, and that essentially becomes your transition into the main body. There are other aspects of transition. For example, you can also acknowledge the audience. What do you think when this when you have this problem? Toastmasters, what do you think? That is also an acknowledgement, but cleverly, you, the speaker, have embedded that salutation after the opening, after the introduction. Now, I want to move on to the hook metaphor. Now we go to fishing, right? Fishing, we have a fishing rod, we have a worm in that one just to attract the fishes. So then and you throw it deep to your mind in the and you wait for fishes to attract. So there's the hook. Your opening is actually acts as a lure for your presentation. And if we don't have a lure, and if we have thank you in the right beginning, it dilutes your message. So why not start strong? Okay, so I understood the hook metaphor. I understood. But then how can I start opening? What I'll give you 6 openings. It's like playing in a chess game, right? You have if you play chess, you have the queen's gambit. So that means the pawn outside the queen, they move first, and then you have it. Then you have the king's gambit. You have various openings in chess. Just think your speech. I'll give you 6 tools which you can choose, and nothing is wrong. Whatever, and you can try in your speeches. You can vary your speeches by trying these 6 openings. Number one, start with a story. So you say, should I start? Yes, just start. You can just start, set a time. When I was 7 years old, and this is my favorite opening, is I start with a story. I was 7 years old, and I always had this question for my dad: when will you take me for dinner? My dad was always late. Now you see, I just created this one, and now you are more inclined, lean forward. So what's happening? You are, we as the audience are suckers for stories. Now, if stories come in, we just can't help but get attracted to the story, because since childhood, we have lived with stories. As adulthood, we go to the movies to watch stories. We read books for the stories. The stories are the natural magnet, the rare earth magnet, like it acts as the rare earth magnet, which attracts the audience's attention. That is one. Opening number two, start with a bold statistic. Did you know? And I'm also giving you an example, just not giving you the statement. Did you know there are six child psychologists for 600,000 Australians? You see how important it is? And you are now luring the audience into the problem. So what is the problem? Now the audience will be asking, "Oh, really?" Some people might even Google, and it's a fact. Australia is suffering from child psychiatrists, unfortunately. Hence, you see the decline of mental health. So that is a bold statistic. Start with the bold statistics that will actually move you in, move the audience. Say, for example, Ning is doing threat modeling, right? You can open with a bold statistic. 300 million records were stolen because of an exposed API and the latest Qantas hack. So that will actually draw your audience now. If somebody has a problem, people just come in, and I want to know more about that bold statistic. Rather than showing a presentation with 1,000 ideas, switch off the PowerPoint and start with a bold statistic. And again, in your opening, no PowerPoints. If there's a PowerPoint, press the B button that blacks out, so then the audience focuses on you, the speaker. The third one is ask a question. And I'll also show you how to ask a question. Have you asked, like, have you ever felt hungry at 12 a.m. in the night? So if you see, I have done the action, and I've used you. This is very powerful because you are speaking is actually one to one. We think it is a one to many game, but if you really think, I'm the speaker and an individual listens to you. And when there's a collective of individuals, that's a one to many relationship. And hence I'm putting in a question, have you? That means it directly looks to the audience for an answer. Versus, just compare this with how many of you have been always hungry at 12? So yeah. How many means some people might, it might exclude certain people, it might include certain people. But then how many statistics is actually a weaker way of asking questions. When do you use, so it's not that it's really bad. When do you use how many? If you want to count the number of hands, like how many of us speak English? Now, if you see the words I have used, how many of us? Us means I am including myself among the audience. So that is the way we ask questions. Fourth point, we put the problem right at the introduction, right at the introduction. Many times if you go into the story structure, we have a problem, then an escalating tension hits the peak, and then it solves. I want you to introduce the problem right at the beginning. We don't have enough real estate. We just have 7 minutes. So 7 minutes is first minute in our opening, we put in the problem. Like one of the openings I have done is, I must admit, I'm suffering from a disease, procrastination. And you saw I paused and it procrastination. That means everybody laughed. But I asked the question. I put in the problem. Um, and eventually, your speech is how I solve the problem. And then looking at my points, people can solve the problem. So putting the problem right at the introduction is also a great strategy. Set up a visual prop. For example, one of my friends, Bharat, he in our club he brought in a Rubik's cube. It's a broken Rubik's cube. He should, and he was telling puzzles, but when people view some a prop, that adds more to the message. And in the conclusion, you know what he did? He just dropped the Rubik's cube on the table, and it split into so many pieces, and people are shocked. But that's a conclusion. And he was all about mentioning that life is a puzzle, and sometimes if we take too much care of the puzzle rather than solving it, it is eventually going to disintegrate. So that was his message. Set up a visual pause, and the last opening is a pause. This takes lots of experience. You can start an opening, but without that, you just pause. You stand in front of people, look into people's eyes, smile, and say nothing. Pause for 5 seconds, 5 long seconds. I know it is short, but if you pause for 5 seconds and then you start your opening, that 5 second pause gets you that puts so much tension among the audience. What is he going to speak? What is she going to tell me? Why is she not speaking? So that pause, and with your presence, you are pausing. That takes practice, but that's also very good opening. I have seen one world champion pause, collected, and answered. You can use this pause in table topics if you have seen last contest. Pause, and even when people ask you, and you can use this in your table topic sessions as well. When people ask you something, pause, think, and then answer. You don't need to jump on the answer right away. So try these 6 openings. Nothing is right or wrong. Nothing is one above the other. These are just 6 openings. You can take it, put it in your toolkit, and experiment one by one. Take one and see how it feels for you. If it feels, say, a pause works good for you, try it. See what feedback you're getting. So just experiment. Become a scientist and start experimenting. Now, to conclude, I will have 6 elements of, in fact, yeah, 6 elements of a strong opening. Now, remember if you want to buy something and you walk into a showroom and somebody comes in and becomes pushy. Hey, can I show you something? Tell no, I'm just browsing. Can I show you something? But imagine somebody just comes and welcomes you with a smile, loud smile, and tell, how are you doing? Ask your day. No selling there. Just really interested in what you're looking for, what your problem is. So that is confident body language. Means arms by your side, no arms folded, no fig leaf gesture, arms by your side, feet, shoulders width apart, relaxed, so you can bend your knees. It's light, and you smile. Look at everybody. You don't need to start. It's just a smile. Just smiling means it's an acknowledgement for the audience. That thank you for you being present. Thank you for the time you're going to spend in listening to my speech. I'm wholeheartedly thanking you. Take your time, acknowledge and eye contact. Look into people's eyes. Really look into people's eyes. When you look into people's eyes, it disarms the audience and it like not stare them, just look into people's eyes. Like you don't need to look into every single person's eyes, like if you have more people, Just pick and choose 3, 4, look into the eyes, and then you start. Start strong. That means match the audience's energy. Now, this is actually high emotional intelligence. When we start, we also need to understand what is our audience's energy. Like our lunch club, it's mid-noon, people are already tired. So match their energy. So that means you can start low. You don't start with a very high energy. So it creates an energy imbalance. If a previous speaker has, like for example, humorous contest is high energy, it makes people laugh. So another seventh opening is you can start with a joke if you can make one. Is starting with a humor is the most wonderful gift you'll give to your audience. You can make people laugh if you have something funny. And again, make yourself as the butt of your joke, not about joke about somebody else. It's easier to tell Donald Trump raised tariffs and joke about politicians, but joke about yourself. Look at my hair. Looks like something obvious. Look, do I have a new hairstyle? I did have a fresh haircut. No. Look, so you start with something really obvious, something funny about yourself. And as I said, pause, collect your thoughts, and then start. And last one is we already discussed. Salutations start at the end of the introduction, not at the beginning. So we conclude today's session. We wrapped up. So to summarize what we discussed, I'll share with you. We started with 3-second rule, why the Gary Vee's rule is still valid. You have literally 3 seconds for the audience's attention. We discussed why we should never start with thank you. We discussed the hook metaphor. Your opening acts like a hook for the audience's attention. We looked into the 6 openings, opening with a story, a bold statistics, ask a question, put the problem right at the opening, set up a visual prop, and finally pause. 7th one is if you can use humor. That's bonus. And finally, we discuss the elements of a strong opening. Now, if you have seen here, I'll ask you one question. How did I start this session? I started, if you remember, I started this session with a story. So I want you to pick up an opening and start experimenting. I will now close this session, but I will keep the video on. So then if you have any questions for me, I hope this was helpful for you.
Very good, Ansuman. Very good. Thank you so much. That was a great session, like always.
Thank you so much, Ashman. I will try those for my next speech. Or one of the methods.
Yes, you can pick one, and because you have your projects, you can actually start experimenting. Take one and do it. The challenge with our Toastmaster material is you get this information after it from experience. Nobody tells you, or there's no one module that tells you this focuses on opening. Yeah, but we are here, we are learning, so all good.
There are lots of gold.
And I'm wondering, in a work scenario, which is not quite like a speech, is it still valid if I start my meeting with a question or a story?
Yes. A story, it might not be your story, might be a recent story, which is recent statistics. Like, did you know? And you start that. And in your slide, put that statistics. If you are starting with the statistics, then in your slide, put that percentage in big bold. It will just have that 1%, and then you ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Especially online meetings.
Yes. Yeah.
All good. So we wrap up. If there are no more questions, any other questions we have?
No, I'm all good there. That was brilliant, Ansuman. Yeah, good to hear and see you, Ning, as well. So that was a good session.
Yes.
All good. Okay, I'll see you next week then.
Okay, bye
Yes, will
everyone. See
do.
you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good evening.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.